Welcome to episode 51 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies, plus tips, apps, and gear. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my guest this week is Donna Cleveland from the iPhone Life magazine. She's the editor-in-chief. How you doing, Donna?
I'm great. Hey, David. Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, I'm glad to have you here, and I thought you'd be a great resource this week as a guest to talk about all things iOS, since you kind of focus on that a little bit, do you not?
Yes, we do. And it's exciting with the upcoming event that we're looking like we're going to have. So
yeah. So
lots to talk about.
I figured I tapped some good topics here during this week. So we're going to talk a little bit about the news like I always do. And we have a couple great topics. Donna wrote a really awesome article in iPhone Life this month, this issue on the Apple Watch, and I figure we both had experiences using the watch across the board. This would be a great discussion. There are some rumors about the news app, so we're going to talk a little about the news app and the news as well as a topic, and we'll break that down. And some iOS tips, which you also wrote some great stuff in the magazine. So I'm going to be plugging your magazine. I can help you just for being here. So, and our app picks, and we'll wrap up. So let's just go right in and start talking about the news. The first article I caught my eye was there's a study that finds that the iPhone XS Max, which I have, experiences more than twice as fast LTE speeds as the i5S users on average. And I would probably attest to that because it is a pretty fast phone. I know which phone do you have?
I still have the iPhone 10, actually.
Oh, okay.
I upgraded last year and I loved it. Yeah. And I wasn't really convinced based on all the specs of the new phone that it was really worth upgrading again this year. But I will say, friends of mine who have the XS Max, and I've gotten to hold it, do love the larger display.
I'm showing it on camera for you here, but I've got the case, so which I'm absolutely loving. I talked about that in the last episode.
You love your XS Max?
I love the XS Max, and I also added bulk by adding the smart case to it with the battery. So
right, cool.
So I'm getting 2 full days of battery charge. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to think about it. So, well, that's another topic.
That's amazing, yeah.
But it was interesting to see in this article, they talked a little bit about how the download speeds really were quite a difference between across the board on a lot of the different iPhones. And you have the 10, so it's showing the 10 here, and it was they say about 17. It was at 18.5. Actually, the 10 was faster than the 10R. That's awesome. But the XS Max was right at the top there at 21.7. That's what it says in the bar graph here. So that's great to hear. Great to hear that these phones are getting faster. And obviously things will change when 5G comes out soon, if not, unless AT&T continues to mislead people about the 5G. So did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I was just curious what your thoughts are on the 10R, because that's just, to me, that's another knock on the 10R. I feel like I feel like the lack of the OLED display to me was something that made me really not want to go for the 10R. I was just curious if you think if it's right for anyone, or if you're better off just getting the 10.
No, well, yeah, if the 10's still available. I know there had been some rumblings that maybe Apple might bring it back. But the XS is expensive, and there's no question about it. I mean, the 10R, 10S, I mean, size-wise are exactly the same. I've said it on the show many times. I think the 10R is a perfectly capable iPhone. I mean, for someone who's just looking for a great iPhone and doesn't want to spend a ton of money on it, and you're not really, really the only features of difference are going to be the camera and, like you said, the OLED display, and that's it. So you're really not going to notice a huge difference unless you're like me and others who love the cutting edge in technology, because I always buy everything new. So
yeah, one thing I will say is I recently bought the budget 2018 iPad, and I was like, oh, I don't really need any of the extra features that come with the Pro, but I've gotten really spoiled by the OLED display, and now having a device that doesn't have that, I really notice the difference.
You do.
So that's one thing I will say against the 10R, but I think you're right that if you have, especially if you're upgrading from an older device and it's been a couple of years, I wouldn't upgrade from the 10 to the 10R, definitely not. If it's been a few years, I agree that it's still a great device.
No, I mean, the 10 is perfectly fine. That's why I had the 10 and I went to the 10S Max. So
yeah, but I would be curious to try out the LTE speeds, comparing the 10 to the 10R, and seeing if you would notice the difference that much.
Yeah, if you look at the
Based on these
numbers,
tests.
they're pretty
Yeah, I mean,
close. They're pretty close. So I
pretty
mean,
close.
if you're going to make a decision based on this, I don't think it's that important.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it out to our listeners. Be aware that speeds are just continually are increasing. It's just incredible. And who
It
knows?
is amazing.
We have an exciting year ahead of us with 2019, doing all the new announcements will be coming out the next 6 months or so. With we got the announcements coming up in March. Then of course you have WWDC and so there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out this year. Our Mac Rumors this morning was just all kinds of stuff that they're talking about. New iPads and new iMac. There's just all kinds of stuff. So this is exciting times as always. And it looks like it's great to see that Apple is really being more aggressive in getting new products to us.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for iOS 13 too.
Yeah.
We had a lot of our readers write in telling us all the features they're hoping to see with iOS 13.
Right.
Be curious to see what Apple will be coming out with.
Yeah, well, you know what? And I think that we'll take a spin of our topic on iOS tips, and we'll talk about that a little bit when we get to that. If that's
okay, fun. Yeah, so, yeah, that'd be great.
All right, let's move on to the next article. Apple's going to announce a TV service at their March 25th event, but they're saying the launch might be a few months off. Well, I mean, I'm not surprised because Apple's really been starting to take their focus off of iPhone because, of course, the announcement at the end of last year that they lost money. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. They made billions of dollars, but they lost money anyway, right? And they are looking at services. I mean, they're seeing that services is a big piece. It's a big piece of a lot of companies. I mean, look at Google, look at Microsoft. They all do services, and that's where they make their money. I mean, you can't physical devices just don't cut it anymore. So this is
I mean, it's somewhat unusual actually that Apple's been able to make so much money off of devices
exactly.
for so long. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're looking at starting up a TV service. It looks like they're going to be similar to a Netflix or something of that effect. I guess would be the interesting thing would be is just what kind of exclusive deals we have in the notes here, what they're going to get. I know HBO was on the fence still, and I doubt Disney would get in on it. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree that I added Disney to the notes more just as it's interesting timing considering that Disney. I don't know the exact date, but it was sometime in April. Disney is going to be launching its own TV streaming service. So Apple releasing their service right around the same time is interesting in that they don't seem to mind going head to head with Disney.
Yep.
One thing that I was reading was that Apple's having a hard time. Apple likes to take a pretty big cut out of right now. If you try to sign up for Netflix, you can only do it online. You can't do it through through the App Store because Apple takes 30% of that.
Right.
And so I'm curious if Apple will be making deals with Hulu and Netflix so that through this TV streaming service, you can get access to everything, or if you're still going to have to be, signing up for Apple's new TV service separately from all these other ones, which, I mean, I know at least for me, it's becoming a headache to have to manage so many different subscription services. So I would be a lot more interested in this service if they did manage to combine it into just one central place you manage everything.
I agree.
Yeah. What do you think will happen in that regard?
I think Apple's going to, I know Apple can be very aggressive when it comes to negotiating a lot of this stuff. I don't think Hulu is going to probably make the cut because I think Hulu is a much bigger service and they're kind of a competing service really. So I'd be very surprised that if Apple were to get into that. I think HBO for sure is going to get on it. And of course, the networks, Showtime, some of the other cable networks will probably jump in as well. It's going to be interesting to see also where their services go through. Now, if it's not necessarily through the Apple TV, because we talked about it in previous episodes about the smart TV partnership with the AirPlay 2 and being able to go to the iTunes and the Apple stores to be able to watch content directly on your TV without even the need of an Apple TV.
Right. Yeah, I know that was interesting to see at CES this year how so many new TVs were coming out with that, which is pretty cool. I mean, I love my Apple TV, but
me too.
But it's nice for people who
that's right.
have the new Samsung TVs or whatever and don't need to purchase one.
That's right. You were at CES and you saw a lot of those TVs. I'm sure there was lots of TVs that you saw out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that I was kind of surprised that Apple's doing that, but it really is telling us and telling a lot of people that Apple really wants to get into the services business, and that's why they're going to put their services wherever they need to put it to get it out there.
I know it does make sense now that they're coming out with a TV service that they just want to put it in front of make it accessible to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Instead of being, solely tied to the Apple TV. But yeah, I'm curious too. I wasn't finding anything reliable about how much this is going to cost as well. It seems like a lot of it is still pretty
rumor
vague.
I heard $10 a month, maybe. I think that would be reasonable. Maybe more. Maybe it's more than that, because they got to compete with Netflix. I mean, Netflix is charging what, $15 a month, so I don't think they want to go outside of what that is. It all depends on the content and what they decide, really. I've been getting both these stories confused with the news app and the additive subscriptions and magazines. Versus, we'll have a good discussion on that.
Yeah,
and the TV. So I got both those confused when I was talking about this originally. So there is two different things that Apple's going to be probably talking about and announcing at that event. So we'll talk about the news app later. So. But yeah,
and with the TV service, it sounds like they're just going to preview it, whereas the news service they might actually be making available right away, or at least soon. Right. But I was hearing that it might even be as late as fall this year before we get the TV streaming service.
Wouldn't be surprised. Look at
would be
AirPods 2 and the wireless charging mat. That's what over a year in the making here. So.
And now it doesn't look like they're going to announce those at this announcement either. Like, it's just going to be services. Yeah. That's what you've been hearing too, right?
Yeah. I mean, they just like last year when they announced the new iPad, that they were in Chicago actually here and at the school. And it's the same thing. They just announced the new iPad and the new crayon and the partnerships with the schools. I mean, I think this event's going to be probably very similar. Just brief announcements. Whatever. But they like it because everybody gets excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time this time of year, it's an iPad announcement. This will be a first ever, really. And
there's rumors about iPads, but like I said, they've already said, no, there's no way they're talking about it during this event. They want to focus on services. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I was curious, like what makes you sign up for the TV streaming services that you do? Because for me, a lot of it's the original content, so I'm really curious about Apple's original content and what they'll bring to the table. And I'm curious if that's what they'll be, if that's going to be their biggest selling point, what they're hoping to hook people with, or if it's going to be more of their deals with the different networks.
Well, the article,
it easy for people.
Yeah, well, like the article mentions, they're including stars like Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, Steve Carell.
Yeah.
And all will have roles in Apple shows. I mean, what was that show they had? The Planet of the Apps was horrible. I don't know if you liked it, but if you
I didn't watch that.
The Planet of the Apps. It was a reality show about
I heard about that.
App developers. Okay, so you didn't see it. No,
I didn't see it. It wasn't good?
It's it was rough to watch in some episodes. But they got Carpool Karaoke. They partnered with James Corden, and they got that show going. So I mean, that's a start. What they got into the original programming. But I would venture to say, with all the connections they have in Hollywood, I'm betting that they will get some pretty awesome original content. Just like you said, Netflix has got some awesome stuff. So does Hulu. So that's where they're competing with. Those are their two big competitors with this.
Even Amazon
has
some good original content as well.
Miss Maples.
Apple's partnering with Oprah too.
Oprah, right?
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that the Planet of the Apps doesn't bode well for what their original content will be, or do you think?
No, I think that's going to get put into the vault of one of the shows that were not that great. So because they haven't, I think it's been well over a year since the last episodes were made. So, but I think you're right. I agree with you that I think a lot of this content is going to be original. They're really looking and seeking out different content providers. Yeah, Oprah should be interesting. She's got a lot of good ideas, and people who have been in the TV business, that's what they need. They need people that are very knowledgeable about this.
Yeah, I think my guess would be the original content is where this service is going to shine. Yeah. I can't see them bringing together all of the different services in a way that's that convenient. Like you said, like they're unlikely to partner with Hulu and Netflix. So you're still going to have to manage all of those things separately.
Right.
Also, that Apple was planning on taking 50%.
Yeah. Oof.
For the TV. Or 30%. Like, I feel like.
I mean, that's why it's probably a very difficult negotiation process with these providers, what they want to provide this content if they're taking that much.
Yeah. So, which maybe Steve Jobs would be able to pull off those negotiations.
Possibly. Yeah. He probably be smiling, looking down on us right now on that. So, but anyway, let's move on. And as I do with all of my new guests, I always like to find out what iOS devices and what you use all the time. And I've asked lots of my guests in the past 15 or so episodes of my guests, and always is interesting answers. But I have this feeling that, Donna, you have quite a few devices that you use.
Well, as I said before, I have the iPhone 10.
iPhone 10, right?
Which I love. Around the office, some people have not enjoyed Face ID, but I
like it.
I like the Face ID and the OLED display, and the fact that I actually kind of like that it's a smaller form factor, even though it'd be nice to have the 10s Max and have that huge display in terms of just carrying it around.
It's
I like
big.
the size. So I'm really happy with it. I have the Apple Watch Series 4, which,
me too.
As David mentioned, I can tell all of you about my experience upgrading from I had the original Apple Watch, and I held on to that until this year.
Oh, wow. So you were a holdout.
I was a holdout.
We'll talk about that.
Really enjoying that. And then the other device I have, I have the Apple TV. I don't have the 4K Apple TV. I have an older Apple TV, and then I have the 2018 iPad, the one that was it's not the iPad Pro. Okay. So I have the Apple Pencil.
Which I have the iPad Pro.
Oh, you have the new iPad Pro?
Because I'm crazy. Yeah, of course I do. I have the 10s Max. I have the iPad Pro 2018 11-inch. I have my MacBook Pro is 2017. What can I do? I mean, it's just I'm crazy. I'm a crazy person.
You're an unapologetic enthusiast.
No, I will not apologize whatsoever. Well, my wife sometimes will question when I have to when I'm spending all this. Why do you need to buy this? And I hear that a few times, but I said, honey, I need this because I want to stay on top of technology. Come on. It's fun. And I sell the other one. So that's what I did. I had a 10 because I was like you said, you stay at the 10 and then 10s or 10s Max is not a huge jump. Same thing with the iPad. I had the 10.5-inch iPad Pro before that with the first gen pencil, and I turned around and sold it. I sold it for got $750 for it. So I mean that paid for most of it.
Pretty good value. Yeah.
So I figured that you had a few of those devices, and back Christmas time, that iPad did you have 32 gig? They were selling it for like ridiculously cheap price. It was like $249, and I think I just saw it on Amazon at that price a week or two ago. So it's a great bargain, and for what it does, it's great. But I agree with you though. I definitely can tell the difference in the displays. It's especially if you're used to it. So
I bought it mainly for proofing articles, which is. It's great for that with Apple Pencil. Sure. But for media viewing, which also the iPad's so great for, you do notice that the display is not as amazing as the iPad Pro. Yeah. Our CEO, David, has the new iPad Pro.
Right.
Same with our video producer. And so I've compared it side by side, and it's he
wrote a great article on that too. That's what I say. You guys got to read iPhone Life. There's a lot of great information in here. We'll talk about that. So let's move on. And I'm glad to find out what makes you click with iOS devices. But let's talk about one of them, the Apple Watch, and your experiences. Like you said, you started off with the Series 0 watch, and you evolved from there. But let's kind of go through some of your experiences and some of the things that you talked about in your article about the watch in itself. And you said you stayed at Series 0, and then you didn't move until just recently with the Series 4, right?
Yeah, I kept it all these years, and the main reason is. What I loved about my Apple Watch was the fitness tracking features. Sure. And those I feel like Apple got it right from the beginning. They made it really easy to use. The 3-ring system that they came up with, I felt like was pretty intuitive. And
you like that.
For someone, I'm not a hardcore athlete. I just want to be healthier and more active. And so even like some people have complained that their fitness tracking apps, like their own ones, are not that, like they don't give you that much granular control over your workouts, which I would probably agree with. But for my purposes, it's been great. I feel like I can really credit my Apple Watch for inspiring me to join a CrossFit gym.
Oh, nice.
And so I really established working out regularly thanks to my Apple Watch.
That's what it's good for.
At work, we started sharing our activity with each other using the Apple Watch. And so you get those notifications. Do you do that with any of your friends?
I need to be more active. I'm not as active as you are, I'll admit it. But I mean, when I do walking, and of course we've had lots of snow. I've been very busy with clearing the snow off my driveway, that kind of stuff. And then, being an IT pro and working in an office, I do a lot of walking around the office. So I get a lot of walking in there and look at my steps and such, because I'm always going to a desk and to help somebody fix something. So, but I mean, and you're going to touch upon this a little bit. The ECG readings and the fall detection was another thing that really got me to go with the Series 4 right away, because I had the Series 3, so there was no huge jump. So, yeah, I need to do more. But you're gonna motivate me to get moving more.
Well, it's amazing. Like even when I started working out a couple times a week at this gym, it was amazing to see what a big difference it makes to get up and walk around just throughout the day. So, and how important that is based on health research. Just sitting forever is not great for you. So I also got a standing desk, and it's one that can be lowered. And so I try to stand a few times a day. So I feel like the Apple Watch really helped me establish those things. So the reason that I decided to upgrade is the original Apple Watch was just slow. Did you get it back then?
Well, when I had the Series 0, it was fine for its time, but it got slow pretty quick. And again, me selling and upgrading, I sold it right away. Then I think I went to the Series 2, and then I went to the Series 3. But I got a good trade in with the Series 3 at Apple. They actually gave me $275 for it, which I thought was pretty awesome.
You must take good care of your tech as well.
I do. That's why everybody, when they say, "Are you selling anything?" I said, "Yeah, I might be selling something. I have an iPhone. You want to look at it?" And because it's always I'm usually pretty good with my tech. So, but Apple was, as long as it doesn't have like a big crack or on the display or anything, they were pretty open to take it. So, but I mean, what my main motivation was with the Series 4. As soon as I saw the display, oh my gosh, the display!
I know.
What a difference! What a difference the display is, and this ECG. Was it ECG or EKG? I thought it was one of the two.
I guess they're both correct. At first, I thought ECG was the only correct way, but I guess they're both used as, So, yeah, the reason I upgraded is the design, even though it's only slightly thinner to your wrist, I have a pretty small wrist, and so the other one looked a little bulky, and I've been surprised at how much nicer this one looks. And like you said, the brighter display and even like inkier blacks, I feel like it's great. I've been happy the battery is about the same. I was going to say the battery just barely lasts me the day.
I've been going in it all day, and I'm still at 82%. So I must not have been doing too many active things today with my watch. Phone calls
or like too many heart readings too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's been nice. With the original watch, you couldn't even update to watchOS 5.
Right.
So that was also a reason to update so that I could use, because now they have automatic workout detection, which I've been enjoying. If I just start walking to lunch or something, it'll start logging an outdoor walk for me.
That is cool. It does that.
You can now track yoga and hiking. I don't hike much around here. It's Iowa winter, but I do go to yoga, and so that's nice. And they've added some new, more advanced fitness features, like you pacing your outdoor runs. And so that you can see if you're staying up with your average pace or if you can slow down, things like that. Oh, I was curious. Have you used the Walkie Talkie feature at all?
Yes, I have. And we actually, with Allison Sheridan, who actually is going to be on next week, shameless plug, her and I did a test on it and tried it out. And I've done it with my wife. I've done it with a couple others. It's fun. I mean, you get quick ways of talking to somebody, and it's just it works. It works really well. I don't know if have you been able to try it out or not? Or?
I have, yeah. I've used it with my husband. He has he has the Series 3 cellular Apple Watch.
Yep.
And so he loves it.
Yeah,
he loves the cellular version just because he doesn't need to carry his phone around, and he likes to be more unplugged. And so, yeah, we use the Walkie Talkie more just for the fun of it. Like, I haven't found a super practical use for it yet.
Other than a quick way to talk to somebody if you need to.
Yeah.
I'll hit you on that debate a little bit about the cellular versus non-cellular. I personally find that the cellular is not worth any value to me because I always have my iPhone with me because I'm crazy. I gotta have it in my pocket no matter what I do. I was like, "Where's my phone? Where's my phone?" And it's in my hand all 24. Probably no. Then I'll take the 8 hours when I sleep. It's sitting on my nightstand. So
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So I just didn't find the value of having a cellular because it's like over $100 more in price. And then plus you got to pay the extra
and the monthly fee.
On top of it. So, I mean, I just didn't find it necessary. I've done many times. I've had phone calls on my watch with the iPhone in conjunction with my iPhone, and it's worked perfectly fine for me. I think that that is right. So they say we agreement here. I guess your husband's not as much into that agreement. So
to represent his view of it, he's someone who does not, he's sort of more resistant to technology in that he doesn't like always staring at his screen and finds that if he's more addictive personality, I guess. So as long as his phone is around, he is always staring at his screen. So that freedom of being untethered from your phone for him has a really high value. Also, he plays tennis and teaches tennis pretty regularly. And so it is really nice. Like, you don't want to have your phone in your pocket then. And so being able to be like someone can reach you while you're doing something active, that's really nice. I know our COO, Noah, he's a soccer coach for his kids. And he also has the cellular watch and loves that because, you know, his wife can get in touch with him and let him know, you know, to pick up milk on the way home or whatever. And he gets all of his notifications still. But it's not it's not that small of a fee. I think it's $12 a month that we pay for his Apple Watch connection. So I feel like unless you're going to use it pretty regularly, it might not be worth it. But
what's your carrier out there?
Verizon.
Okay.
Verizon's the best network near us.
T-Mobile's been great for us. So for me,
really?
I just switched recently from AT&T to T-Mobile. So
we're in more of a rural area. T-Mobile is no good.
Unfortunately, they're getting better.
Yeah.
But
and T-Mobile, I think Verizon is one of the more expensive carriers.
No, we're getting a great deal.
We're only using it because we have to.
6 phones, $200 a month. That's all we pay. So it's a good deal. So you had a couple other features in here, including Raised Awake. I mean, I haven't used that much. Well, actually, it does. When I raise my watch, it wakes up and it shows you the display. Is that what you're talking about in the Raised Awake?
Well, that, and then also that you can use Siri without saying, "Hey Siri."
Right.
That was kind of interesting. I more just I tested that feature out just to try it with the watch, but I haven't. And it was cool that it worked, but now I haven't used it much. Yeah.
And then, waterproof GPS support is awesome. The GPS support's been great in Series 4. I agree with you 100% on that one. And then I have not talked too much about the Topo Maps and View Ranger and the REI Coupe.
Yeah. Oh, I put that in there. Those are just apps that I thought you put in there, that Apple Watch apps that we like. And so I wanted to talk about those. But just the last thing I was curious with the EKG readings or ECG readings.
We didn't talk much about that.
Yeah. Have you, I mean, those are the really amazing new features of the Apple Watch, but I guess in my daily life, I haven't used them a whole lot, but I find it comforting that if I were to take a fall, that, after a minute, if you don't move after a hard fall, it'll call 911.
I probably should have had it. I didn't have it turned on and I fell on the ice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they didn't have it on because I heard it drives people crazy when it oversenses. I guess when you're over 65 and it knows it does it. It automatically turns it on.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you knew that, but anybody that's over the age of 65 and you put your birthday information in, it automatically turns the fall detection on. So otherwise, everybody else has to turn on by default. So, but no, I didn't have it turned on and I fell. So. But luckily, I got up quick. So
you were okay. So you're probably happy you still had it off. So the ambulance didn't show up.
Well, I was close. I'm still pretty sore from that tumble.
Oh man,
the ice got the best of me. So,
Yeah, for
But
listeners who are not in the Midwest or
yes,
not in a cold place, I feel like we've just been dealing with
it's been
ice sheets with snow on top of it, which is the
exactly.
most slippery combination ever. But yeah, I really want my grandma to get an Apple Watch.
She
She's
should.
pretty tech savvy.
Oh,
She's
good.
turning 90 this year,
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
she has an iPad and an iPhone and uses it. But I feel like the Apple Watch is such a nice way to have a health device instead of like a Lifeline necklace or something. So
Yeah.
you're still wearing something stylish and techy, and without
Okay.
the need for something
well,
like that.
Well, I'll put links to all three of the apps you suggested in the show notes, so like take a look at that. Yeah,
Cool.
there's lots of other apps. In fact, the news app works pretty well, and I use the podcast app, of course, and Walkie Talkie, and then the heart, and of course the home kit. I have a home. You can access your home kit lighting from your watch, which is awesome. So there's lots of great apps out there, and we can probably spend an hour just talking about those all by themselves. So,
I know. One last thing I enjoy with the Apple Watch is controlling my music playback. Like if I have friends over and playing music from a speaker or something, how you can just control, like change the song or turn up or down the volume from your watch.
Yep. I've got a HomePod here, and I'm putting my fingers here. You can see it. My HomePod here and a HomePod here. So I've done paired. I paired
cool.
two HomePods. So yeah, I could control that from my watch as well, and play stuff. So yes, smart speakers are awesome, and it's a great thing. But did you have one negative? One thing I remember in the article that you
Let me pull up the article. I mean, one thing that just comes to mind right now is the design. I still think that.
Oh, that's it. That was what
I was gonna say. I think that they could still do a better job making it more feminine. Like I feel like from the beginning, the Apple Watch styles seemed more tailored to men, in my opinion. I know around the office that's a complaint that I've heard pretty regularly. I prefer round watch faces.
Oh, okay.
It would be really nice if they had that option.
So but you had the 40 millimeter, right? I assume the smaller one, or do you have the 44? Okay.
Yeah, I have the smaller one. Yeah, that was my con.
Yeah, that's the one that caught my eye. But that's
and then in terms of like hardcore fitness people, I think they still.
Yeah.
I've heard complaints about the Apple's fitness tracking features. They're getting better now that they have like pacing and cadence tracking, but they could add some more customization options there as well. But for me, it's like perfectly adequate, and I kind of appreciate that it's simple to use and doesn't have too many bells and whistles, because I have compared a lot of fitness trackers side by side with the Apple Watch, and some of them are kind of complicated to figure out. So
this is true.
Yeah. So overall, I'm really thrilled with my Series 4.
Yeah. Me too. I knew you would be. So let's change gears here. Let's talk a little bit about the news app. And I figured this would be right up your alley because it does involve publishers and publishing and magazines and such. So there's a rumor that they're saying that the news app is going to have a subscription service. And of course, if anybody isn't aware, Apple about a year ago now, in March of last year, they bought the company called Texture. And Texture is a magazine subscription service that's all digital. That and you guys are not on there, are you? I don't think you.
We're not. No.
Yeah. So Texture.
We're on the Apple News app, but no, we're not. On
the Apple News app. So, the Texture had subscriptions over 200 different magazines. You would pay a flat fee, I think it's like $10 a month or whatever it is. So, I knew the Apple was going to be doing something with that service sooner or later, because that generally they don't buy a company unless they feel that's going to be something that they're going to get involved in. So, but the buzz is saying it's going to be a subscription service that they're looking to add, which will include the magazines I just described, and I think they're also negotiating with newspapers, which I would think would bring it even more of a value. What do you think?
I know for me, if they bring in some major newspapers, that I would be very tempted, because a lot of times I've been debating between New York Times or Washington Post or Wall Street Journal, like which one do I want to subscribe to? And so if I could get one service for $10 a month that gave me access to, either all of them and magazines, or at least one of them in magazines, that would be pretty compelling, I think. Because I feel like magazines, with Texture being around for a while, and you can also get, through the Kindle app, you can read magazines. Like we're used to doing that in more of this sort of way, but doing a subscription service for newspapers is something that feel pretty new. But yeah, everyone's calling it like the Netflix, like that. It's going to be like the Netflix for publishing. Yeah. Which, I'm excited about. I think that, since we have a magazine, that'd be something we would try to
take a look,
get into potentially.
Obviously costs us. You got to look at the values of what it is for you, and it's interesting to see. If anybody's not familiar, there's a lot of news aggregators out there now. And my favorite always was Flipboard. I don't know if you used Flipboard.
Yeah, we use Flipboard, and we're on Flipboard.
Yeah, so. But Apple News has gotten better and better. And I think when they released it for the Mac, I think it even got even more improved with the way it manages a lot of subscriptions. And what's great about it is it just aggregates all this stuff. I mean, of course, me being techie, I'm sure you're the same way. All the technology news is sitting right as the first thing I see, and all the different articles that I want to look at. On my iPhone or iPad. So, but you can subscribe to any of the hundreds of feeds that are out there to find out more about the news. And one of the cool things is the news app does is it automatically sees what you're looking at, and it kind of tries to customize it to bring things to you that you're interested in. So, top stories are generally going to be probably about the news, and I'm sure it's something that's talking about President Trump and other stuff. So, but that's what's cool about it. But with the subscription part of it, I'm actually pretty excited about this. I would probably be a subscriber too, especially if they add newspapers. I mean, the big ones like New York Times and the Washington Post. I don't know, but I don't know if Wall Street Journal will get involved with this at all. They're pretty heavy duty with their paywall, so they charge a lot. They charge a lot for their newspaper every year. So I think it's like $150 a year. So
that's true. So for like a $10 a month service, I don't know if it'd be worth it for them, but I know it would be, because right now you can already subscribe to newspapers in the Apple News app and pay. But but getting it all under $10 a month, is that the rumors that you have been seeing as well? $10 a month.
That's what it says in the article, that we have a link in the show notes with that it's saying it's a $9.99 a month service that would offer magazine access, much like Texter, which I'm not, like I said, I wasn't surprised. And there's a lot of magazines in the Texter. I mean, I think something over 200 different magazines you can get access to. So, but as you know, magazine business is tough. It's very tough, and that's what people are trying to do with getting into the digital world, and newspapers are doing the same thing. I mean, there's a local newspaper here I subscribe to, but you feel bad for them because they charge for minimal cost, because being in a smaller town in a rural area, with those newspapers are they're having tough time competing with these types of services. So
definitely, it's a tough business. But the one thing with the reason I haven't subscribed to Texture up to this point is that I still do enjoy like physical. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm one of the, like, I for the newspaper, I would not want a physical paper every day and all that paper waste and stuff too. But with a magazine, there is something great to me about having the physical copy.
Yeah, that's good. So you guys are still doing it and still having because a lot of the other technology magazines have gone digital only. So.
Yeah, that's true. Except for then CNET, which surprisingly, in the recent years launched a physical magazine, which seems like a surprising move.
Yeah, well, they're owned by CBS now, so they got some big budgets there.
Deep pockets, yeah.
Well, check out the news app, and again, once they talk about this back in March, I think they're saying March 25th is going to be the announcement, and it'll be definitely going to be interesting to see where we go with that. So So we'll change another gear here, and let's discuss a little bit about iOS 12 tips and some of the tips that you shared with your readers, and as well as and we can start off a little bit. You were talking about iOS 13 people's. You've got a lot of your readers that were giving some great ideas of what they thought.
Yeah. So the thing that we've been hearing the most from people is that they want to be able to mark text messages as unread. So how in your mail app, you can just swipe left and mark your messages as unread. And that just makes it easy if you don't have a chance to respond in the moment. When you go back later and just look at your unread mail, you'll still have it there in your list with that little blue dot next to it. So with text messages, you can't do that. Once you've looked at it, it's just marked as as read. And so it makes it really hard to, you have to have a good memory unless you respond in the moment. Otherwise, it's just going to get lost in your stream of text messages. Yeah. So that's something I've gotten into trouble for not responding to people because of this. Because a lot of times if I'm in a meeting, I'll see something quickly and forget. But I was kind of surprised to see so many of our readers wrote in about that. Sure. Another one that we've been wanting for years is multiple user support for the iPad. I mean, it'd be nice for the iPhone as well, but a lot of people use iPads as a family device or a work device that, several people want access to. And it would be so nice, just like you can on your computer, to be able to switch users. And that seems to me like something really Apple definitely has the capability to do it, and that they should have done years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So those are two features that. I know another one that a lot of people want is a dark mode. With Mac OS Mojave, I've been using the dark mode, and I really enjoy that. It'd be awesome to have that on the iPad.
I think they were rumoring about that coming. I mean, some rumors out there. I would not be surprised because they did it in Mojave, and I think everybody's very happy with it on Mojave. I love it. I'm like totally used to it now. When I go on to a Mac that doesn't have it, I was like, oh God. Gotta close my eyes there. It's not dark enough for me.
Yeah. Do you have any features that you're hoping they'll bring out with iOS 13?
Nothing that stands out right now. I should have thought of it at an early time, but we thought about this topic just as we were going here today. So not off the top of my head, but those three I would probably agree with, especially multi-user support. There are a lot of families that use iPad. Just like when you have a Mac, you have separate user accounts if you want to sign into a different account. Why can't they do the same thing with an iPad?
Well, it just makes it tricky because you don't really want to sign in with your Apple ID and necessarily have all of your photos and text messages and things like that be accessible to everyone in your family. So yeah, that's a big one. I'm pulling up my notes here. We have the ability to better search for the Mail app. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Mail app search is just terrible. It's really hard to find anything in there. So if they could work on that. A lot of people wanted better photo management, like being able to name photos, being able to organize them in different ways. Right now, Apple doesn't offer a ton of sorting options besides being able to create albums. Yeah. We've got some maps requests here. Being able to have multiple stops along your route. Right now you can diverge from your route and then go back, but they don't have that feature that Google Maps has where you can do multiple stops.
Gotcha.
Which would be really nice. So
I can't wait as always. I mean, I have a developer account and I'm not a developer, and why I have one is beyond me, but I have anyway because I love playing with beta.
Yeah, me too.
I tend to have extra devices. I will not put it on my primary device. I've said that many times on this show.
Smart.
But I do have an old iPad Air from when we just upgraded my mother-in-law. She got the same iPad you have. So I got this iPad Air I can play with now. So I'm gonna hold on to it because it still has some value left. But what the heck, have it for a little while. It's sometimes been nice when I'm out. I want to have the iPad when I'm working on something, and then my iPad Pro, and then I have the other iPad with like a document on it I want to search through. Crazy. I'm carrying 2 iPads with me, right? but sometimes it works out. But not everybody has that luxury. So, but anyway, let's dig a little bit into some of the discussion that you did in your article about different iOS tips. And I've talked about a lot of these tips before, but I'd like to hear a different perspective, obviously, from someone who is very good at this stuff. So, so the first thing was group notifications, and I love group notifications, and I've gone through that. I've done demos at conferences before on this, and people just don't get it. But you wrote
people don't get it.
Sometimes they don't get it. They don't get how to use them or even wear them, for that matter. So, kind of give our listeners a little bit of what you talked about with these notifications.
Sure. Yeah, this would be also one of my favorite iOS 12 features. And, in the past, for any listeners who didn't know this, a lot your notifications would just be sorted chronologically, so they would just show up in a list, and the most recent would be at the top, and you'd go down from there. So the reason that this was not great is for apps, for instance, breaking news apps. You might get 12 different news notifications, but they're going to be mixed in with your messages and different things. You can't just see them all in one place. Now with iOS 12, all of your notifications from a particular app or category will be sorted into like a stack that just shows up automatically on your screen, and you can tap it and it expands. So one of the reasons I love this is for things like breaking news. So I can just tap my news notifications and read through all the breaking news notifications of the day when I have the time to do that, and then swipe left to clear them all once you're done reading them. So this is really great. Another feature of group notifications is that you can manage your settings for them right from the lock screen without going into the settings app. And, it's not that hard to go into the settings app, but I feel like a lot of people have a mental block against it. Like they don't want to go in there and mess with their settings. So now you can just swipe left on a stack of notifications and hit manage. And from there, if you're getting too many notifications from an app and it's bothering you, then you can just tap deliver quietly and you will no longer, with deliver quietly, let's see. It'll keep the app in your notification center, but it won't show up on your lock screen.
Right. So it doesn't drive you crazy on your lock screen. And I remember I demonstrated this at my Apple user group, and there was a lot of people who were like that feature. Yeah,
I feel like most of my friends, at least, don't want to go into the settings app. So being able to just manage it from there is much preferable. So I enjoy that a lot. It makes my lock screen feel a lot less cluttered.
Sure. And you controlling your privacy, that's good to being able to turn that off. If you want to be private, be private. You don't have to have this stuff pop up. So you did talk about password management. I've talked about this a bunch of times, and I'm a big user of 1Password. I don't know if you are.
Oh, are you? Our CEO, David, is. I use it for a while, but I feel like the new password management, Apple's own features have been working well for me. So I'm just using that right now.
Okay. Well, I'm using both. I mean, I know some people just turn off iCloud Keychain and just use just that, or they use either one. But I like both because I'm managing it in both places, and I might have some place in one place and another, and then plus I get used to it. And then people ask me about it. So you just like the keychain? You're happy with that?
Yeah. I mean, in the past, I didn't think that the keychain was good enough, but the features with iOS 12 that it now added is that it will recommend passwords and help you log in to third-party apps. It used to be just in Safari that you would get password suggestions and that you would get the autofill options.
Yes.
But now when you're also logging into, increasingly apps that you're using require you to have an account. And so, it's a pain if you have to manually log in every time. You don't want to do that. So now Apple's own password management features will do that for you. Another thing that's awesome is if you go into settings and then into the password management, it'll tell you'll see a little exclamation point next to all of accounts that have a duplicate that you're using the same password for, which, hopefully this isn't you, but
I'll admit it, I do it.
I do it sometimes too. It's and so now you can go in and, tap on each account that has a duplicate, and it'll take you to the website where you can go reset and hopefully use one of Apple's suggested strong passwords instead. I think the biggest thing that using Apple's password management has required me to do, though, is to switch to Safari as my default browser on my desktop as well. Because if you're using Safari on your phone, but you're using Chrome or something, that was what I was using on your desktop, then you're not going to get those autofill options when you're using your desktop. And so really, you're going to still end up having kind of a fragmented system. So now I've switched to Safari on my desktop as well, which I actually miss certain things about Chrome. What do you use?
I mean, I use Safari mostly on the iPhone. Sometimes I'm a browser freak, so I have tons of browsers. I have 2 picks today. They're browsers too that are privacy browsers. Firefox I've used. Google Chrome I've used. But I mean, I'm fine with Safari. I'm so used to it on the iPhone. Strangely enough, on the Mac, I'm a Firefox guy. I use the Firefox, and I know a lot of people who like to use Chrome. I have both on there. I go back and forth depending, because there are some, like there's some sites and some services that may not necessarily work with Firefox, but they work with Chrome or vice versa on the
Right.
Mac. So, but I mean, even in iOS, I mean, on my iPad and my iPhone, both, I've got all the browsers on there, so I've my choice to use whichever browser I so choose. So,
So
but
you're agnostic when it comes to browsers.
So I'm probably. I mean, I don't use Safari as much on my Mac as I do on my iOS device. So, but no, the browser on iOS, I'm used to it, and I like the reading mode, and I don't think a lot of that works. With that's kind of the best thing. On the browsers, going in reader mode, and then to eliminate all those gosh darn ads that keep popping up on websites, and yeah. And then you also mentioned emojis. I mean, I created my emoji. I assume you have yours?
I do have one.
Yeah.
That's one
Does
we
it look
have
like
fun.
You?
I mean, I tried to make it look like me. Some people just, create
they got the long
fun.
hair and everything.
Yeah. And I think I've got sunglasses that are like mine, and like a hat. You can switch out accessories and things like that. I mean, this one, it's not a super practical feature, but it is fun. You go into your Messages app, and when you're, in that window, you see a scrolling app list of your apps above the keyboard. And if you tap the one that has a little monkey icon, from there you can set up your own Memoji. So it's an avatar that looks like you, or you can make it look like whatever fun character you want.
Yeah.
And then from there, the nice thing about it that's a little bit different than, have you ever tried the Bitmoji, which lets you, choose.
I get one friend, when I send them a Bitmoji once, he replies back, "You didn't just send me a Bitmoji, did you?" He hates them. He hates them with a passion. So I said, "Okay, I know not to send you a Bitmoji anymore." I've actually got it customized, because they have it customized where you can put it for like sports teams, and I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, so I have my Cubs hat and my Cubs jersey on every time I send them emoji. I'm sorry, the Bitmoji. That's what I'm wearing whenever you see the image of me.
See, I think Bitmojis are fun. I went through a phase, I feel like, where I was sending them to everybody. Lately, I haven't been as much. The fun thing about Bitmoji is they just have tons of suggested, based on the day of the week or what's going on, little scenes with your avatar, which makes them more funny. Whereas the Memoji you have to create it yourself. Like, in terms of it, you can send, I think it's a 12-second video.
I think it's got longer now.
And it has audio, so you can like send an actual message saying something to people through the Messages app. And I mean, I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah. So, well, that's it for a little bit of tips. So we've talked about so much today. We probably got another hour in just tips alone here. But you've got a good catalog list of apps here. I'm very impressed that you shared with the listeners this week. So you've got 5. Well, I added the Measure app because you talked about it in the magazine. But, why don't you go ahead through some of these apps that you for these app picks? And I only have 2, so you've outdid me here. So,
so my most being a goody two shoes, choosing too many of them.
No,
yeah. So my most recent app discovery is this app called Radio. It has like 5 O's on there in the spelling for those of you who want to try downloading it. So this is a really interesting app. When you open it, it's a map of the world, and you can choose any country you want. And there you go. And you choose decade. It starts in 1950s, goes through 2010. So you can choose a decade, and it'll play music originating from that country in that time. Yeah. So that's just a fun way to have.
If you saw all the books I have behind me here on my bookshelf, of all the music books I have from Joel Whitburn and all the Billboard charts, this is an app right up my alley. I love music, and
you should try it.
Yeah, that's getting on my iPhone here when we're done today. I have to check that out. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been more musical these days, and so I've enjoyed that one. Another one on my list is Yousician, spelled Y-O-U, Zician, and that I'm using to learn to play the ukulele.
Oh, wow.
So this one,
more about you.
It requires in-app purchases, and so the ukulele is one of the instruments that is not free. I think you can get some of the lessons for free, but it's pretty cool. Like, it has guided lessons for a lot of popular songs, and you can choose to whether you just want to practice 10 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day. And so I've been just I've been enjoying that a lot. It's
Oh,
just,
fun.
it's just a hobby. Um, Insight Timer is another app that I put in there. This is a meditation app.
Hmm.
There are some ones that are pretty expensive out there. I'm trying to remember the name of the most popular one.
Like Calm.
Maybe. Yeah, I feel like there are some that are like $10 or $12 a month to use, but this one, while there is a premium version, there's a lot of guided meditations in there and just a timer in there that will do like a gong at the beginning and end
It's got
that you can
five
use for
stars,
free.
so everybody must like it.
Yeah, and it's one thing that's nice about it. It'll show you people nearby that are meditating. So I have like a few friends who use it, and they'll be like, "Oh, Kaylee just tried this meditation, to reduce stress. You might want to try it too." So
yeah, it looks like a lot of in-app purchases. But right at the top is the premium one for $60 for this app. But it looks like you could at least do some things for free, right?
yeah, I haven't paid anything for it, and I've still gotten a lot out of it. Okay, my last one I want to share is 1 Second Every Day. That is an app that you can take a short little picture or video every day, and it strings it together so you can like share highlights from your month or whatever. So it's kind of just a fun way to preserve memories. And I found that it kind of creates a cool video at the end of it. Even I'm not much of a photographer, but it's still, for me, I did like one for last fall, and that my sister had a baby, and I had, different fun events. And so just stringing that all together, I was like, oh, a lot happened in this time. And I was able to capture a lot of it with this short little video. So
does Apple Clips, is that very similar to this? The Apple Clips app?
yeah, it is a little similar to that.
I
1 Second Every Day costs $4.99, and Clips I think is free, isn't it? So
yeah, Clips is free. I might have bought this app. I think somebody talked about it once before because I have all this credit sitting in my Apple app account, so I got to buy things crazy here. So, yeah, this I've actually tried this app. It is pretty cool. And then if you just want to touch on a little bit on the Measure app that you did review on, I linked to the show notes to the support app, the support article on it. But if you want to just briefly talk about it, what you
sure. Yeah, so Apple released the Measure app with iOS 12, or around that time at least, and it's a pretty cool use of augmented reality. Like you look through your camera viewfinder and you can measure things in the real world. So this app, I think if you're doing really precise measurements, like for instance, I was buying blinds for my office the other day, and that you need to know down to like the 1/4 inch, the dimensions there. So I got out a tape measure to make sure that I got it right. But I found that it does a pretty good job in general, especially for more for well-defined edges, different objects. And so basically you just pull it out and you can mark points that would be like the corners of an object. And you also have to kind of like scan the area to get a flat, so it can see a flat surface and sort of get its bearings. And then it will give you dimensions. You can export a photo from the Measure app that will have go to your Photos app and will have the dimensions that it's saved for you to bring wherever you need to bring. So that's I feel like it's one of the more practical ways that I've seen augmented reality applied so far.
Yeah, I've tried it. And we'll also link to your article in the show notes so people can see your comprehensive review of this app. And
thank you.
So we could talk about that as well. Let me get to my apps real quick. The first one I found was is, if everybody's familiar with the privacy search engine DuckDuckGo. It's been around for a while. It's the competitor to Google. People saying people don't want any more of my information out there with Google, so I'm using DuckDuckGo. Well, they actually created a privacy browser in iOS, and really what this does is and I think that's kind of simple what they say here in the link here to the app. Privacy simplified. And then at DuckDuckGo, we believe the internet should not feel so creepy. So it does allow you to browse privately and be able to go through and search things, and it's got different widgets and such. Again, another one of those browsers. Like I told you, I'm a browser junkie, so got all these different browser apps. So check that one out. And the other one I had was also a privacy browser. Is called Brave. It's an ad blocker browser, which you can browse for blocking ads and such, and it's gotten some decent reviews. I just downloaded this the other day, so I haven't really tried a lot. So, but check that one out too. It's a simple browser. So, But I saved for best for last. We wanted to talk about iPhone Life, and I wanted to let you tell us about Insider. Insider has been an awesome service that I would been a subscriber to for a long time. And that was what inspired me to reach out to you and to have you come on the show. And of course, we're partnering with my Apple user group and a lot of that stuff. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about Insider and iPhone Life in general, about what makes the magazine tick, and go through there.
Great. Thanks, David. Yeah. So iPhone Life is an independent publishing company. We have now had our magazine ever since the iPhone came out, basically. So we've been around for about a decade as iPhone Life. And in the past few years, we've launched a monthly subscription service called iPhone Life Insider. And that's our premium membership that helps you really get the most out of your device. So really our readers love their Apple devices and usually have the suspicion that they could be getting more out of them because they are capable of so much, but sometimes you need a little help to get there. So with iPhone Life Insider, we try to make it really easy for people to learn how to get more out of their devices in a fun, easy, convenient way. So you get a digital subscription to the magazine. You get a video tip every day that's just a minute or two that teaches you something. I look forward to every day.
It comes in my mailbox. I watch every video. It's just great information. I mean, I even use it because of me doing things in my Apple user group. I want to get the information. So it's awesome.
Oh, I love hearing that. Yeah, that's probably one of our favorite features, or fan favorites. So you get a 1 to 2 minute video that teaches you something you can do with your device. We also have in-depth guides on different topics. So if you buy a new iPad or you get a new iPhone, you can have a guide that will teach you just kind of all the basics of how to use your device. Or every time a new version of iOS comes out, we have a guide right away that will teach you all the new features. So with iOS 13 coming up, you'll be the first to know all the new features. We have Ask an Editor, a feature that allows you to talk to our editors if you're having any sort of tech problem with your Apple devices, and will help lead you through to find a solution. And we also have an insider version of our podcast, so you get exclusive content and an ad-free experience. So that is our.
It's fun to listen to that too. So see how we have so much similarity here on my show here with you guys. That's why it was just an absolutely perfect fit for you to come on the show today, is to talk about all the stuff is on here. You didn't even talk about the guides. The guides are awesome. You had some great guides. You just did the one on iOS 12. I use that as a Bible and look at that all the time. And Apple Watch, you did some great things on that too. So
I'm glad to hear it's been helpful for you. Yeah, we have one on Siri too. I feel like a lot of people don't know how to set up Siri so that it works really well for you. So we have a guide on that. Yeah. So if you go to iPhoneLife.com/insider, you can learn more about the program.
Yeah. Check it out. And it's definitely well worth the investment to find more information. Of course, you find a lot of information here too. So, but I can't believe the hour's gone by.
I know.
We had so much fun. This was such a great show. And I knew it would be. I was very excited, and it really turned out that way. So,
thank you for having me.
I can't thank you enough for being here. How do people reach you if they want to be able to get send any information to you? And I don't know if you're active on social media. How do they reach you?
Yeah, Donna at iPhoneLife.com is my email address. That's a great way to reach me directly.
Okay.
I would say that's probably the best way.
Okay, great. See, I didn't even ask you, and I put that in the notes. So, all right, let's wrap things up here today. And that's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address at feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter at In Touch with iOS. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio. Or better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Thanks again, Donna, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.